Welcome to another episode of War Hero to Superhero. I am wearing the shirt today, helping military, veterans, and first responders transform their lives from the bedroom to the boardroom. You are in the virtual boardroom, and this month in September is Vision. So we're trying to bring you vision to your life from the bedroom to the boardroom. And if you have a great War Hero to Superhero story, join us next week for a live interview at 6 p.m. each and every night, Monday through Friday. We have a couple slots filled. If you're interested, get back to me. I'm going to post that after this live. So let me tell you a story. I'm actually going to tell you two stories. The first one is the Slayer of Troops. So you probably met this person before. They go over and they supervise people either in the military or in the first responder world, and they pretty much emotionally, spiritually, almost borderline physically, practically slaughter their troops. I had that such person in my life. I first came into the service and I met this person, and they basically slaughtered everybody on a regular basis. It was to the point that the person that I worked with, which was higher ranking than me, was crying at the end of the day of work on a regular basis. I went over and received paperwork, which I now look at 20 years now removed, I shouldn't have gotten. And the thing was, is that just kept happening across the board. This person just kept going to be a tyrant. You ever had that person that people are like, you're supervised by who? And they're like, wow. And they feel bad for you. And I was working in maintenance, and the thing was is that it was bad. And this just kept happening. It was about 6 months to about a year. The person finally went over and got quote unquote fired, got transferred to another location, and then eventually went over and PCS'd out. The morale got a lot better afterwards. Our virtual boardroom, which was physical back in the day, got a lot better. And I got to move from one section to another and eventually PCS to Germany. That is one story. Another story, which is way more positive, is the Smiling Commander. I went over and came here to Dover Air Force Base in this particular job, and this commander that I work with was always smiling, always happy, that particular guard. And it wasn't that creepy happy, like, hee. It wasn't that. It was actually legitimate happy. The environment, everybody that works with him loves to be around him. And it's a day-to-day type environment that you love to go over and to enjoy. What is the difference? You could say it's personality. You could go over and say that it's a lot of things. But to have vision in the boardroom, what this person has to have, which the Slayer of Troops didn't have, and what the Smiling Commander does have, is FATS. Really, really either bad FATS or really good FATS. And this acronym actually comes from the Christian line of view, but I wanted to apply it into the boardroom because it so carries, because these things, attributes carry long term. First off is faithful. What does that mean in the boardroom? What does that mean? They're being consistent, what they are asked for, they're on time and dedicated. The Slayer of Troops, I never knew when she was going to be in and when she was not going to be in. It was always anticipational fear. I never knew if I was going to have consistent training. 1 minute I'm going over and getting absolutely nothing, and the next minute it's like riding my butt. On time, again, I didn't know that. And also dedicated. Dedicated to the people, dedicated to the mission, dedicated to the task at hand. Again, didn't know where that person was going to be. It was always pivoting on a regular basis. But with the Smiling Commander, is always consistent when he's asked for things. He gives a lot of time. He's on time most of the time. And if he's not on time, he's going over and giving available time to a lot of people. And dedicated. He's dedicated to his people. He's dedicated to his mission. He's dedicated to his family. So that's faithful. Next word is available. And in this particular guard, they are physical and mentally there each and every day. When you go over and they have time to actually say yes, and not the passive yes that goes over and happens and you just say it and then it doesn't happen. You have the time and availability to say yes. You call for them and they can be utilized for their talents and gifts. The Slayer of Troops didn't know when she would be in, and mentally didn't know where she was at. It was just one of those critical things. Time to say yes? Not really. Always said that was super, super busy. Either said no or said yes and it didn't go or happen. You call for them, they can be utilized for their talents and gifts. For the Slayer of Troops, we didn't know what gifts and talents that person really had, so we couldn't even utilize them to be available in the first place. The Smiling Commander, otherwise, physically there every single day, mentally there engaged. When you're in a conversation, it's like you and him, like it's one of those moments that you know that he is listening. He has time to go over and say yes. He puts the time for the people, and he's willing to do the work on the back end and stay hours afterwards. You call for him, and he can be utilized for a lot of talents and skills and gifts. You actually get the holistic person, and he brings the right talents and right gifts. Doesn't go over and say, I can do this and I can do this. He knows where it's at, and then he goes over and makes sure. And for us, the Smiling Commander that we work with, we want to be available for him. The next one is teachable. And in this particular guard, willing to learn, willing to grow, willing to take constructive criticism, doesn't wait for you to teach in self-development. The Slayer of Troops, not really. Anytime we try to talk or to go over and defend, it was a constant argument. Growth, it treated it like a 9 to whenever job, and it was more whenever as early as possible get out. Taking constructive criticism, that person got fired like 10 times before that happens. I don't know where they're at now, but the thing is that in that particular season, constructive criticism didn't go over. Didn't go over and doesn't wait. They waited for you to bring stuff instead of them being the self-developer in that particular guard. They didn't go over and read the books. They didn't do the critical thinking. They didn't ask themselves the in-depth, the who, the whys, and the when. The Smiling Commander is always reading, learning, and growing. If he challenges us in something, he's taking it on first. Constructive criticism, he allows you to have that real talk. Doesn't matter if you're an airman basic or right behind as a lieutenant colonel or colonel. He doesn't wait to go over and get taught. He's always learning. He's always self-developing. He's always willing to go do that, no matter if it's personally or professionally. And last, and certainly not least, is servant. And a servant regard, in the sense of either looking at this from a military veteran or first responder, or in your transformation from war hero to superhero, a servant is willing to serve for the mission, the team, or the company, has a heart for the people, willing to volunteer, and steps up. In this particular guard, for the Slayer of Troops, it was more about serving oneself in that particular guard. The team, which was us, we didn't feel that we were served, especially when it came to training. And especially for the company, well, when you're constantly leaving, do you even have a real heart for that particular place? Has a heart for the people, didn't see that much. Willing to volunteer, kind of more voluntold than anything else, and steps up? No, not really. The Smiling Commander, he wants to go over and be basically the Air Force equivalent of security forces and taking care of those people. Loves to go over and to serve the team, loves to serve over the company. Usually the first one in, either at home working with the system or the last person out. Have to remind them, like, hey, you need to balance that out. Has a heart for the people, willing to take the time to go over and have that conversation, stop what they're doing, go turn around to the desk and have that face-to-face conversation. Willing to volunteer for many different things, and usually steps up and figures things out and be proactive. So those are the difference between having good FATS and bad FATS. We all need FATS. Why not go bring the good FATS into the boardroom? because the vision for the boardroom is to go over and have such good fats so much that this superhero challenge basically is a fragrant challenge. So the challenge of Superhero Challenge today is before we look for good fats in others, because our job is not just to go look in for others. You eventually want to do that, especially in interviewing and hiring and those types of things. We need to develop our own. So the challenge for today, either you watch this on Facebook, on Podopolo, which is a dynamic interactive podcasting, either on YouTube or the Easy Way Wall or Roku, which if you get an opportunity on the Easy Way Wall, we're doing an awesome Golden Gala. Go over and watch it. It's an amazing opportunity. And there's also some opportunities for work if you're looking for it. So go over and find Eric Zuli on there. But where are you strong and weak at? Where you sit at? Do you go over and sit good, being faithful, but you're not mentally and physically available? Do you go over and sit bad at teachable, but you do great as a servant? Where do you go sit that? I'd love for you to continue the conversation, either in the comments on the live or going over and watching this in the replay, or if you're engaging on Podopolo, we love for you to engage that dynamic, interactive podcast that we do. So we love for you to continue the conversation. And in that particular regard, last but certainly not least, I want to thank you guys for overall joining, no matter if we're doing this on live in the replay. If you are struggling within the boardroom and this virtual boardroom is difficult for you, please go and connect with us. We want to give you 20 minutes free to every military veteran and first responder. And for as low as $5 a month, you can start your War Hero to Superhero transformation at patreon.com/thrive-not-survive. I sworn I typed it in. It didn't work. It's okay. So we hope to connect with you soon. We'll see you tomorrow. One more episode. If you are that War Hero to Superhero transformation, we'd love to go over and to have a great interview conversation with you next week. We do have a couple slots left open. So I want to thank you for going over and joining. You guys have a good evening. Enjoy the weather that you're having as fall goes over and transitions, because it's going to be winter soon. Woo! So, all right. You guys have a good evening. Thanks.